It's time for the great battle. The Euphrates is struck, Babylon's river. And we've seen that the Euphrates represents the people groups of the world that Babylon ruled over. They dry up their support. She's in trouble. What happens is the dragon, the beast, and the false prophets see that the people groups have the citizens, of the world have withdrawn, dried up their support of Babylon. Quick! They go out, 3 unclean spirits like frogs coming out of the mouths to prepare for the great battle, polemos, war of words over the name of God, which is what this issue is over. Let's gather together the kings of the earth to support Babylon because the people have deserted her. Get the kings of the earth together to protect Babylon. Now the story is picked up in chapter 17. The kings that they collect together to support Babylon, to protect Babylon with their armies, will turn on Babylon. And this is the wrath of God coming to culmination in the book of Revelation. God's doing nothing. Revelation 17, 12 and 13. So the peoples have left their support, dried up their support of Babylon. So now the kings that were gathered together to protect Babylon, look what they do. Crisis. The people have left. Get the kings together with the beast to protect Babylon. Then the kings that they gather will destroy Babylon. Evil comes undone, all on its own, and this is called the wrath of God. 17, 12 and 13. Look, and the 10 horns that you saw on the beast are 10 kings who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour, a brief period of time, together with the beast. We're going to look like we're going to see a worldwide unity of political powers, political military powers at the end. What's this union about with the beast? These are of one mind, and they hand their power and their authority to the beast. We've just seen that the people groups have withdrawn their support. Babylon is threatened. Now the kings hand over their military power to the beast to protect Babylon, who has been riding them and controlling them. And all of a sudden, their support dries up as well. And the wrath of God will be fully revealed as God lets go. Divine absence, divine withdrawal of the restraint on the powers of evil. They will turn on one another. Look at verses 15 and 16. The waters that you saw where the woman is seated are peoples and nations and languages. We've seen that. They withdraw. And then the 10 horns that you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. As soon as the people groups withdraw their support, all of a sudden, the 10 horns, which are the 10 kings who gave military power to the beast that were supporting and being led by Babylon, what do? The 10 horns, the 10 kings that you saw, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. The people leave the building, and now the kings that they gather under the 6th plague to protect Babylon turn on Babylon. Evil implodes. This is the wrath of God. They're doing it all alone. They will make Babylon desolate and naked, and they will devour her flesh. They will burn her up with fire. The wrath of God comes to culmination with the destruction of Babylon. The counterfeit trinity pulled together the kings of the earth who were controlled by Babylon, and then they turn on her. And this is the wrath and judgment of God in the book of Revelation. And all this is an answer to the prayer of God's people way back in chapter 6, 9 and 10. When are you going to do something to judge those who have killed us? And now we know that Babylon has shed their blood. In 17, 5 and 6, Babylon has shed the blood of the saints and the prophets. 1824 says the same thing as well. And now she shed blood, and now those she used to shed blood turn on her. This is the wrath of God in the Bible. And God said back in chapter 6, 9 to 11, wait and see how evil will come undone. I won't do it. I know that evil will eat itself, and they will devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. God did nothing. In his wrath, God withdraws his protection, his presence. He withdraws, lets go of evil powers. He knows what evil's going to do. It's going to collapse in on itself. It's going to collapse in on itself. So what happens with those with the mark of the beast, the name of the beast on their forehead? What happens to them in this final battle? Well, we know the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet, they are mystical, mythical, super spiritual powers, yeah? But what about human beings? Is it all over for them? Those with the name of the beast on the forehead watch Babylon implode. But they still blame God. 16, 19 to 21. Now the great city was split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. Babylon the Great was remembered in the sight of God to give her the cup of the wine of his fierce wrath. And every island fled, and no mountains were found, and huge hailstones weighing about a talent each came down from heaven upon people. Satan is the direct active agent. We know how and when and who destroyed Babylon. We just read it. His allies, her allies. And look what happened as people saw Babylon destroyed. And people blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, because the hailstone was extremely severe. They are still blaming God. Those with the name of the beast, the nations who withdrew their support of Babylon, are still blaming God. It looks like Satan has still made his point. They're still blaming God, even though his whole kingdom is coming apart. The people are still blaming God. So what happens with the nations? Because it said in 1919, the great city was split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And then it says, and they blasphemed the name of God in verse 21. So what happens with the nations? Blaspheming the name of God. The nations carrying the name of the beast. Is it all over for them? Well, it's all over for Babylon. But what happens to the kings? What happens to their armies? What happens to the nations? What happens to the dragon, the beast, the false prophet? What happens to them? We know Babylon's gone. All these questions will be answered in chapter 17 right up to chapter 20. But I'm going to focus in on the nations. Those who are blaspheming the name of God, human beings. What happens to them? 19, 11 to 15, Jesus returns at the end of this battle as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he's coming after the dragon, the beast, the false prophet, the kings, their armies, and then the nations, the people groups. What is Jesus going to do when he returns in the final war with the nations? Will they be obliterated like Babylon? Let's have a look. And we're going to close here. Revelation 19, 11 to 15 in the Evangelical Heritage Version. Notice the language. I saw heaven standing open. This is at the end of the battle. You'll see it. And there was a white horse. Its rider is called Faithful and True. Jesus. And he judges and he makes war in righteousness. Remember in chapter 6? How long before you judge and avenge our blood? And he comes and he judges and he makes war in righteousness. Well, we already know he's made war by allowing evil to implode. Yeah. But what about the nations? He's coming back to judge and make war in direct response to the answer of the prayers of the saints. God's got no ego involved in this. He's answering the prayers of the saints. He's not saying, yeah, you say something bad about me, I'll teach you a lesson, my name is holy. No, he's answering the prayers of the saints. It's for their benefit. He's got nothing to prove. But they've got a question in their mind. Verse 12, he comes back to judge and make war. War, polemos, mouth, polemos. Wait and see how mouth will come up again. His eyes are like a blazing flame, and on his head are many crowns, victory. And he has a name written on him which no one knows except himself. The name that the nations had been blaspheming. He's bringing it with him. He's going to show us the character of God. And he is also clothed in a garment that had been dipped in blood. And his name is the Word of God. Jesus is coming back at the end of this war. And the armies in heaven, remember, he dried up the river Euphrates to prepare the way for the kings of the earth for the final battle. Here they are, the armies in heaven. There you go. The armies in heaven, which were clothed with white, clean, fine linen, were following him on white horses. Now we know that the sixth plague is being explained. Yeah? The armies, the kings from the east, are coming. And out of Jesus' mouth, hello, he comes to judge and make war. How does he? He doesn't have a sword in his hand. It's coming out of his mouth. So now we've got the word polemos and mouth again. How many times do we need to see this until we realize this is a war of words over the name of God that he's bringing with him? What a story. And now he's going to focus on the nations, those who got the name of the beast, those who on their forehead, those who've been blaspheming the name of God. He's bringing the name. I'll reveal it to them. I'll tell them the truth about the one who sits on the throne. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword. He is coming to make war, but the sword is on his mouth. It's a word. It's the name. He's bringing the name. He's coming to reveal it. It's truth about the name of the one they had been blaspheming. He's coming for the nations. He's going to wipe them out. No, he's not. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword with which to strike down the nations. Santo, he's violent. No, he's not. Strike down the nations, full stop. He will shepherd them. What? He comes and brings the name that they had been blaspheming, and he strikes them down in order to shepherd them. Shepherd them, not annihilate them. Jesus is coming back to get the deceived nations, those who had been blaspheming the name of God, those with the name of the beast. You've been deceived. He's coming back to rescue. I'm going to bring the name with me. I'm going to strike you down. To shepherd. To strike results in shepherding. In the book of Revelation, there's good news coming next time.